project unity on democratic values and climate change. On issues like democratic principles and climate change, Biden and Lula present unanimity. After the turbulent administration of Donald Trump friend Jair Bolsonaro came to an end, U.S. President Joe Biden met with Brazilian leftist President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva on Friday to re-establish relations between the two largest democracies in the hemisphere. According to a joint statement provided by Brazil, while the two leaders discussed shared ideals in combating climate change and defending democracy against a rise in authoritarianism, Washington pledged to cooperate to establish a fund to safeguard the Amazon rainforest, and Biden agreed to visit Brazil. Before the two leaders met in the Oval Office in private, Biden told Lula, "We have to continue to stand up for democracy and our democratic ideals that form the basis of our strength." He said that the two were on the same page regarding the climate problem. During the far-right leader's president, Brazil's diplomatic ties with other longtime allies chilled, despite Bolsonaro's loud support from former Republican U.S. President Trump. Bolsonaro, who barely lost to Lula in the October 30 runoff election, boarded a flight to Florida 2 days before his tenure came to an end on January 1. He had challenged the outcome of the election. Days later, a violent mob of Bolsonaro supporters attacked the Congress, Supreme Court, and presidential mansion in Brazil. Lula claimed at the White House that Brazil self-marginalized itself for 4 years under the previous administration. Bolsonaro was not specifically mentioned. Biden laughed and replied, "Sounds familiar," as Lula claimed that his world had started and concluded with bogus news in the morning, afternoon, and at night. The attacks by Bolsonaro supporters last month and the one it echoed at the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021, that sought to prevent the certification of Biden's victory over Trump in the 2020 presidential election should never be tolerated again, according to Lula, who noted that Brazil was attempting to reposition itself in the international community. According to Lula, the two leaders might cooperate to fight inequality and climate change. Despite the goodwill, it was not anticipated that the leaders would reach a consensus over the conflict in Ukraine due to Brazil's neutrality. A global alliance under Biden has been formed to punish Russia for annexing Ukraine. The joint statement states that they deplored the breach of Ukraine's territorial integrity by Russia in the annexation of sections of its territory as egregious violations of international law and urged for a just and permanent peace. Lula said he discussed this position with Biden and that he felt Biden shared his desire to put an end to the war. He wants to see a negotiated debate of peace with the participation of more neutral international players. The Brazilian president also justified his choice to refuse to provide Germany the artillery munitions it requested in exchange for Western backing for Ukraine's defense. "If I provided the ammo, I would be taking sides in the conflict. I'm not interested in fighting. I desire peace," he previously stated on CNN. According to the joint statement, Biden and Lula did promise to collaborate on the UN Security Council's reform to include permanent seats for countries in Africa and in Latin America and the Caribbean. Following a meeting with Senator Bernie Sanders and other members of the Biden Democratic Party, Lula paid a visit to the White House. Support for Amazon, support for democracy, human rights, and the environment would be at the top of Lula's agenda in Washington, according to the Foreign Ministry of Brazil. A joint statement that was released after the trip confirmed a previous report by Reuters that Washington had agreed to work with Congress to offer initial support for the Amazon Fund, which was founded by Germany and Norway to support projects for sustainable development and rainforest protection. According to a Brazilian source, the United States is preparing a $50 million initial donation, underscoring the recent warming of relations between the two nations following a period of tense relations. Brazil is eager for additional nations to contribute. By beginning an enforcement campaign against illicit gold miners who have wreaked havoc on the Yanomami indigenous reservation in northern Brazil, the new Lula administration demonstrated this week that it is committed to safeguarding the Amazon rainforest. In the Amazon, Bolsonaro encouraged mining and logging, which he claimed would boost economic development, and allowed deforestation to reach a 15-year high in the area. At the White House, Lula declared that the previous administration had invaded the Amazon rainforest, and he pledged to stop all deforestation by the year 2030. That's today's latest news. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment so that this channel can continue to exist. Thank you for listening to the end and I hope it's useful.